Welcome everyone! In this video, we are in the Great League, showcasing some more fun battles featuring Dedenne. Dedenne on a double fairy backline. Guys, this is a team comp that I've featured quite a bit in the past, and I've always had tremendous success and a lot of fun with it. Dedenne is actually one of the better answers to that large, overpowered, bulky spider running rampant in the Great League. And that's just because Dedenne is a fairy type, and fairies resist bug, and Dedenne is also an electric type, and the large, bulky spider is a water type, which means that Dedenne has a fun time with Araquanid. And completing the fairy duo in the back, we got good old Azumarril on the safe swap. Azumarril's always a solid safe swap option because of its immense bulk, and with the right moveset, you can often flip switch advantage in the right circumstances. And any team with Dedenne is always going to want to have a little bit of added bulk on it, and you get that many times over with XL Azumarril. And rounding out this double fairy team is Cofagrigus on the lead. Now, every time I've run this team in the past, I've run it with Trevenant on the lead. But guys, I wanted to completely shut out that large, bulky spider. So instead of Trevenant, we are rolling with Cofagrigus, which does resist the bug type damage. But guys, I had a blast, and before we hop into the featured set of the video, we are starting things off with a few bonus battles that I thought were tons of fun, and here we go. Picking up a pretty neutral lead in Skarmory. Now, the perfect way to play this is having it be a classic ABB style team. You'll want to swap out at some point. So I kind of played like a noob, guys, and I didn't swap out at the right time. So we're forced to go down a shield. Generally, you want to try and get off your damage to either pressure the health or grab a shield and get out of that matchup into Azumarril without having to expend a shield or compromise your health. And as you can see, we are totally playing like a noob, not playing it right at all. So we do get off that damage, and we do eventually force them to swap out. So we now have decent alignment. The reason why we go into Azumarril and not Dedenne is because Dedenne functions best with a shield advantage, and because we completely botched that Skarmory matchup, we had to go even on shields. So Azumarril is actually the safer play, and they do go for the Earthquake. Doesn't do a whole lot to Azumarril. And we just go, obviously, for the hard-hitting, play rough with stab, as Ice Beam would, of course, be resisted. And we tank those Earthquakes all day, no problem, from the Politoed. And we're going to look to either pressure that last shield or take out the Politoed. And we do say bye-bye to the Politoed. And they've got a Medicham in the back. This is why Dedenne can be so effective in the Open Great League, guys. It shuts out so many of the hardcore meta that you see. Dedenne just has a blast. So we're going to throw our low health Cofagrigus in here to pressure this Medicham to throw its energy. We don't want this Medicham overloading, and it is now Dedenne time after we got the Medicham to throw its energy. Their win con is to make us waste our energy by catching on the low health Skarmory, so we hang on to that energy. We saw that win con from a mile away, and we're saying bye-bye Medicham with a hard-hitting play rough. Dedenne closing it strong in the Open Great League. You love to see it. That's going to be a good game. Well played to our opponent. A blast with this team, and I do like the minor tweak in swapping out swapping out Trevenant for Cofagrigus for situations like this, where Trevenant would be taking super effective or neutral damage. We are absolutely going to dominate this Shadow Alolan Marowak, and they recognize that. So they make a play into a Scrafty. Scrafty is not a safe swap in the Open Great League for this reason, guys. We go into Azumarril because we know that they are most likely going to come back in with the Alolan Marowak, and we don't want our Dedenne taking that heavy shadow damage from the Shadow Alolan Marowak. So we do take out that Scrafty in dominant fashion, as always with Azumarril and Scrafty. And they do come back in with the Shadow Alolan Marowak. So we are going to have Azumarill do what it does best, and that is tank damage and dominate most of the meta in the Great League. You don't get much better than that. We tank another Shadow Bone, no problem, and we don't have Hydro Pump. Generally, I do run Hydro Pump, but I decided to switch it up and go with Ice Beam. And so you go for the harder hitting move with Stab and Azumarill, flip and switch, taking out the Alolan Marowak. Holy smokes. And they've got a Walrein in the back, and it's Dedenne time yet again. They take one look at the little mouse and they say, no way, I am out of here. It's going to be a good game. Well played. I'm telling you guys, Dedenne is still terribly underrated. It's even now, guys, it's been out for quite some time and it's still slept on in the Great League, and I don't know why, as it has amazing coverage on the meta. But here we go, picking up a pretty positive lead in Shadow Nidoqueen. Our 2 Pokemon in the back want nothing to do with this Shadow Nidoqueen, so we're staying right here, guys. We will play out the 2 shield if necessary to take out this Nidoqueen. And of course, it's always a bait game with these Nidoqueen players, but we're going to call it as the Earth Power, and we do correctly shield up the Earth Power. And we're going to go for another Shadow Ball. I was thinking it was Nidoqueen Double Dark, but they're going down on shields, and they have yet to swap out of this terrible lead. So that leads me to believe that it may not be a Double Dark backline, which you typically see with Shadow Nidoqueen on the lead. They do bait us there with the Poison Fang, but we are able to get to a Dark Pulse, and this will absolutely take out the Nidoqueen, which is a huge sigh of relief for our 2 Pokemon in the back. They make a play into Bastiodon, and we go into Azumarill because we had to play out the 2 shield, and we don't want our little Dedenne getting rocks thrown at it, getting blasted with stone edges. So we're throwing in Azumarill to soak all this damage, and this is why I generally prefer Hydro Pump on Azumarill, but I decided to go Ice Beams, and so that makes the Bastiodon and Registeel matchups not quite as good for Azumarill, but the fast move pressure is really starting to add up, and you go play rough if you're not running Hydro Pump on Bastiodon and Registeel, because it does have Stab, and it's going to do more base damage, of course. So not having Hydro Pump obviously makes this a lot more tedious, and Bastiodon does take it. So we put in a little bit of work on this Bastiodon. I'm thinking a discharge from Dedenne may not quite KO, but it'll be getting this Bastiodon quite low. It doesn't KO, so we're looking to snipe with our Cofagrigus, and they go into a Medicham, and it is just about lights out, guys. Even from this health range, this is an Ice Punch. It will not KO, and we will absolutely get to a Shadow Ball to send the Medicham packing, and yeah, it's lights out, guys. This team is so powerful in the Great League, and that Bastiodon is still left. We Shadow Claw it down. Such a strong team. I had so much fun with it. That's going to be a good game. Well played to our opponent. Of course, I will admit, guys, this team does have its weaknesses. It does struggle against a Poison Dark type lead, and Trevenant can give it some problems to an extent as well, but that's with any team. No team is impervious, but here we go. We got a Bastiodon lead. We can play out the 2 shield and actually take out Bastiodon. I've done it many times in this matchup. You just shield up the stone edges, and you pressure the health with the hard-hitting Shadow Balls. They generally don't shield the first one, but if they want to try and win lead, they're going to have to start throwing up shields, and all the while, these Shadow Claws with Stab really start to add up on Bastiodon. And there we go. We grab the first shield, and they got a Trevenant in the back, so that's what I was saying, guys. Trevenant can give this team some problems. And they played that beautifully. They got our Cofagrigus within a range to where they can shield once and farm down, but we stayed in to get as much of that super effective Shadow Claw damage as possible before going into Azumarill. But it's still an uphill battle because this Trevenant is absolutely loaded, and it's going to blast our Azumarill with super effective Seed Bombs. We just really want to try and get to an Ice Beam. One of the reasons why I switched it up to Ice Beam this go around with the double fairy, but yeah, that Trevenant had loaded energy. That was rough. And now it's up to our little Dedenne, and we lose CMP ties, so we're going to have to tank another Seed Bomb. This Trevenant is going off on our entire team. This is kind of rough, but, you know, like I said, no team is perfect. We're going to take out the Trevenant with a Discharge, and at this point, we are still up a shield, but this Bastiodon is too healthy. We're gonna go for the Discharge. It's not gonna even come close to KOing, and they've got a Gourgeist in the back. Man, I was hoping it was a Sableye in the back. A Gourgeist in the back means we lose. Good game, well played. Gotta admit, I kind of like that last team that our opponent was running. I might give that one a try. Trevenant and Gourgeist in the back behind Bastiodon sounds like a lot of fun. And here we go, Toxicroak, that's a positive lead. They make a play into Talonflame, which means that it is Azumarril time. We tank Brave Birds all day from Talonflame. We don't care about the Brave Bird. We're just gonna look to farm up a little bit extra before they get to a potential flame charge and look to get rid of it with an Ice Beam. Another reason why I switched it up to Ice Beam, you get a little bit more coverage on those flyers as we say bye-bye to the Talonflame. Expecting them to come back in with the Toxicroak. So we're just going to look to get off a Play Rough, but we lag a little. They get an extra counter through. Not a big deal. This is just a Mud Bomb. We will live long enough to get to that Play Rough, and it does not KO Toxicroak, but it really does chunk the health on it, and gets it pretty low, and they will look to counter us down. But this is perfect farm down range for our Cofagrigus. We, of course, are resisting this fast move pressure. We are just going to farm all the way down. They can only go Mud Bomb for neutral damage. As with our Ghost typing, we are resisting any potential Sludge Bombs. They make a play in the Pidgeot, and it is the Dedenne time if I've ever seen it. There is arguably no better answer to a Pidgeot than Dedenne, guys. Holy smokes. And they see the writing on the wall. Dedenne was going to have a fun time with that Pidgeot. It's going to be a good game. Well played to our opponent. Guys, I'm really not sure if there's ever been a better time to run Dedenne, as many people are bringing flyers into the Great League for Araquanid, and Dedenne does dominate the flyers. But we had a Nidoqueen on the lead. They make a play in the Sableye, and we were quite slow on the swap, so we go into Azumarill to look to play out this matchup. And because we were slow on the swap, we're going to have to shield up the return. And that was the return. They rarely bait on Azumarill, I'm finding. Generally, if you have Scrafty up against Sableye, they will go for the bait, but they very rarely bait. So we did shield up that return. Fully expecting that Nidoqueen to come back in, so we're going to look to pressure that last shield or do a lot of damage on Nidoqueen with the threat of the Ice Beam. And they undercharge the Poison Fang. Very clever move. The reason why they did that is because they know that they're going to have to shield up the Ice Beam, and they really want to load up on energy, and we will not get to a second move with that debuff. But this is fine. We're going to come in with Cofagrigus. They do not have the energy for an Earth Power. They only did 6 Poison Jabs, so we tank the resisted Poison Fang, no problem. And they've got a Walrein in the back, so it's Dedenne time yet again, guys. If they decide to play out the one shield, we will do that. But if they tank this, we will let our Dedenne go down. They do tank it. So Walrein needs 2 Icicle Spears to take us out. We're not going to shield this. We are going to look to farm down this Cofagrigus farm down this Walrein with our Cofagrigus so that we can have nearly back-to-back Dark Pulses to take out the Nidoqueen. We will tank the Icicle Spear, as they will reach the Icicle Spear before we can Shadow Claw down. That's not a big deal. We will still be healthy enough to withstand this fast move pressure from Nidoqueen. We're not quite at back-to-back Dark Pulses, but we are pretty close, and I think they knew that. So they just let the damage through, even though they did have a shield. It was just about lights out for them. Yeah, we were going to get to another Dark Pulse. That's going to be a good game. Well played. Double Fairy was so much fun and was quite effective. Like I said, if they got double grass in the back or poison dark type lead, it can be a bit of a struggle. But other than that, this team does extremely well. And we have a Galarian Stunfisk on the lead, so we do win CMP tie. And they are at an Earthquake, but a lot of battlers anticipate the catch, so we throw one more and then we look to catch. And we do sneak through a bubble as well. That worked out beautifully. We tank that Earthquake, no problem, onto our Azumril, and they're staying in. Not sure why they're staying in, but they really, I guess they want to, or they're probably weak to Azumril in the back is what it is. So they want to really chunk the health on our Azumril, but we did look to CMP tie them so that they couldn't catch this Ice Beam, and we do take out the Stunfisk. That is a major obstacle out of the way, as Dedenne wants nothing to do with a Stunfisk. A Stunfisk is one of the hardest counters to a Dedenne, so getting that out of the way was quite nice, and they do have a Defense Form Deoxys in the back. And I'm not sure why they didn't swap in sooner, but they do go for the ambitious farm down, so they are loaded on energy. So we come in with Cofagrigus to soak all this damage, and now we see why they didn't swap out, as they are running Rock Slide. Rock Slide Defense Form Deoxys does not have a good matchup against Azumril, so we see why they didn't swap out. But they go into a Sableye, and it is Dedenne time yet again, guys. Shields are still up on both ends, so in the 2 shield, you build up to the play rough and you bait with the discharge. Now, if they happen to call the bait and they tank a discharge, you no longer need to threaten with the play rough. You can just go for another discharge. You can just go discharge from then on out. But while shields are up, we just bait until we grab both of those shields, which we just did there with the 2 discharge baits. Now all we have to do is shield up whatever they throw, and we will outpace to the play rough. And that is how you play Sableye in the 2 shield. And you will win every time. As we say bye-bye Sableye, we're going back into Cofagrigus. We had some residual energy. We get to the move, which means that it is lights out for this Defense Form Deoxys. Dark Pulse, more than enough to say bye-bye Defense Form Deoxys. And Cofagrigus closes it strong yet again. That's going to be a good game. Well played to our opponent. I always have so much fun with the Dedenne, guys. I'm telling you, it dominates so much of the hardcore hyper meta that we often see in the Great League. I don't know why more people don't run it, but we had a Defense Form Deoxys on the lead, and they make a play into Stunfisk. So we do go into Azumril to play out the Stunfisk matchup, and we will do everything within our power to take out this Stunfisk. As I mentioned in that previous battle, Dedenne wants nothing to do with the Stunfisk. It is one of the hardest counters to Dedenne in the meta. So we are going to do everything within our power to get rid of the Stunfisk. And another case to be made for running Ice Beam on Azumril. It does do neutral damage. You don't have that one-shot potential as you do with Hydro Pump. But with Ice Beam plus your super effective fast move pressure is, the safer, more consistent way to address Stunfisk. So we did trade shields there. We will go down on shields to get rid of the Stunfisk, as I mentioned before. And we will look to build up to another Ice Beam. If they shield this, it'll still be fine because I believe that we can still bubble down. They will only get to another Rock Slide. But no, they recognize that they weren't going to win that, and they do let their Stunfisk go down, which is beautiful. Azumril flip and switch advantage yet again. That is quite crucial if your opponent has a Stunfisk on their team. They do come back in with the Defense Form Deoxys, and we do grab that last shield. That is amazing. So they will be taking us out here. They can go Psycho Boost, but they do go for the big Thunderbolt. More than enough to take us out. And we do come back in with our Cofagrigus, as Cofagrigus absolutely dominates Defense Form Deoxys. They Psycho Boost, they retreat into Altaria. And holy smokes, guys. It's the Dedenne time again, and shields are down. We're going for this play rough against the Altaria. I'm telling you guys, You cannot sleep on Dedenne. It covers so many of the hardcore meta picks that people choose to run. And the way we're going to finish out this Altaria matchup is we want this Altaria to get us quite low before we throw to take it out, because we don't want to give that defense form Deoxys any more farm than necessary. They only get one counter off of us, which means that we will absolutely get to the Shadow Ball to seal the deal and close out yet another battle as we say bye-bye defense form Deoxys. Cofagrigus closing it yet again in dominant fashion. Sending the defense from Deoxys packing, guys, and that is the team. Good game, well played to our opponent, and there you have it. Double Fairy cleaning up in the Great League yet again, guys. Like I said, I've run this team a few times now on this channel, and I always have a lot of fun and a lot of success with the Double Fairy team. And all previous circumstances with this team, previously I've always run Trevenant on the lead, but with Araquanid being introduced into the meta, Trevenant's not quite as strong of a lead with this particular team, so I decided to swap it out for Cofagrigus, because Cofagrigus, unlike Trevenant, is actually resisting any bug type damage from a potential Araquanid. And Cofagrigus, you get a little bit more bulk than you do with Trevenant. So I think that's the right adjustment to address the shift in the meta. This team is so much fun and so strong. Great anti-meta team for the Great League. I had a blast, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.